Welcome to This Is Our Earth podcast. I am Sylvia Puentes, and I invite you to these amazing conversations that explore the wonder and magic of connecting with our beautiful planet. Inspired by El Lugar, the place, originally a book by Gary Douglas, and now being actualized on our earth as we speak. What can we each be that would create a sustainable living earth?
So welcome everyone to another podcast of This Is Our Earth. And, as I mentioned in mostly all my shows, but I have the pleasure of, bringing to you different people that I know from around the world that are choosing to be and do something different on the planet that creates a space. And perhaps the energy showing up right now is a space of relaxation. I have with us today, and I'm so delighted to have Dr. Claudia Cano, that I've known for actually since I started the body of work with Access Consciousness. And welcome, Claudia. Welcome so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here.
Now, it's so interesting. When I first came to Access Consciousness, and some of you guys have heard that on our show, it's this incredible work that's worldwide, but I came in super enthusiastic. And Claudia, you were one of the first people that I reached out to, and this energy of welcome and what else is possible? What could I contribute? And from the very beginning, you were a very generative energy of being a space to invite from me and many others to more, but in a very different way. So when I look at, creating a sustainable planet and having this be our earth, you are an energy that creates that in such a different way. So, Claudia is also a doctor. She's also the worldwide coordinator for Access Consciousness in the Spanish speaking community, amongst a 3-day body facilitator, amongst many other things. So, Claudia, where would you like to begin? And, maybe it's, whatever words you have to explain of what you be that invites more on the planet.
That is very interesting because I'm not a very talkative person. Since I was little, I rather observe and be with the energy and with the people. And one of the things I love about Earth and Access and all these things together is that it allows you to be you. It's like it doesn't have a judgment. It doesn't expect of you to be or do something specific. So being quiet is something that it's allowed to, and that you don't really have to have the specific words or say the specific things or project yourself in front of people with a specific characteristic or something they're looking for. You could just be. And it sounds a little strange. And yet
No, I think that's it. I mean, one of the things I love about this podcast is that we are bringing to surface or to these conversations what we have labeled weird and strange, and yet my sense is more and more people can hear it or are willing to acknowledge it. But that's something that hasn't been acknowledged for many years, the being part that doesn't require the doing, the proving. So if you could speak more about that and how the earth invites us to that, that's beautiful.
Well, there is something that I love about Earth and bodies, and it's exactly that it doesn't really expect anything from you, and it invites you and receives you for who you are. And it's amazing. I guess all of us have this when we go to nature and there's like no one else around, that we feel more us. We have more ease and more peace with us, and we allow ourselves to be whatever we want to be. It's like I don't have to act a certain way. I don't have to perform for anyone. I don't have to do anything specific to please anyone, or I don't even question myself if I'm acting okay or doing anything okay or being right or being wrong. I'm just there. So that's the greatest invitation for me from what Earth really is about, and what we can create in this planet to just being us and allow ourselves to be us and enjoy everyone else and everything else around us.
Wow. I don't know for you listeners right now if you're sensing this space of relaxation, but as you're speaking, it's like you'll even notice it in my voice. It's like, oh, like thank you. That sense of relaxation that shows up to all of a sudden like have those barriers come down of, oh, I don't have to prove, I don't have to be any particular thing. Like I could just be. And so thank you, Claudia, because I have actually seen and been with you where I can sense you being that with bodies. Now, it seems like when you're being that with bodies, and I've heard many people acknowledge it, their body relaxes, like you being something gives them. Now, how does that contribute, like us being that space contribute to the earth? Like, what do you know about that?
I love that. For me many years I was like, oh, this is funny. I love Earth, I love nature, and I love bodies. And then I tied it up. Bodies are made from this earth, are part of it. So it's like when you're being kind to your body and to other bodies, and when you allow yourself to be present with your body and with others, it's like you're doing and being the same with Earth. You are including Earth in all of this. So when we're being kind to our bodies and to others, we are also being kind to Earth. We are including it in it. And I guess we learn to separate Earth from us and us from our bodies and all this crazy separation thing going on. So when we start being willing to stop the separation and stop the judgment and just being with our bodies and with Earth and allowing ourselves to be contribute by them. As like we also learned that we have to be like the ones contributing, right? The ones changing everything, the ones that have to do everything to change things. And we don't really acknowledge how much of a contribution it is for Earth and for our bodies to allow them to contribute to us and to receive from them.
Wow, and that even the word contribution and receiving, I can still feel that point of view we have that it's this physical giving, like, oh, I'll give you a present, I'll give you, an orange and yet what you're speaking about is such an energetic receiving and contribution that, can you speak more about that?
It's more like when you're outside in nature and there's the sun. The sun is just gifting you and contributing to you. It's not like, sun, give me. I'm expecting you to give me a tan.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it's a joy. It's like I don't know if all of us like have that, like when we go out into nature and there's the sun is there, or you go into the water in a river, in the beach, whatever. It's just like, yeah.
Yes, that energy.
So it's like the yum is like, wow, thank you. And you receive this, like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And that energy of receiving it and being grateful for it, that's part of the contribution. And it's like, yeah. And it's not like, son, give me a 10. And then I'll say thank you. Like, no.
That's so interesting. I was driving early this morning and I really enjoy, I'm in Northern California right now and they're the brisk morning. And I was driving this morning as the sun is coming out. There's beautiful vineyards and there's like the mustard, you know, plants growing. So they're yellow in between. But I literally have this burst of like, wow, like, how did I get so lucky? You're so beautiful. And it literally is this energy of like my body turns on. I'm like, oh, some of the energies that turn on my body is possibility, choice, and the beauty and gratitude. And yet, you know, I thought that that was just in my world, but as I'm hearing you speak, that really is a gift to the earth to have that acknowledgement of what I'm receiving and that joy of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so more of that because you are one joyful lady. Like if anybody knows you, you know, there's usually a laughter you can hear with Claudia and that energy of yum that we, you know, we tease you about in Jummy, you know. I've had dinners with you where it's like, oh, I'll have some of that. Like, you know, but more of that energy. Can you speak of that jumminess of living in gratitude and how that contributes to the earth?
Well, for me, it's part of embodiment.
Mm.
It's a really big part of having a body and being in this planet. Because I just wonder, like, if I didn't have a body, would I enjoy the sun as much? Would I enjoy the water as much? The food? How much of a gift of embodiment is that we can also enjoy all of that with our bodies and from the planet. So it's this joy of being here, of being alive, of having a body, of having the joy and the gift of being part of this amazing, gorgeous, beautiful planet that we can call home.
Wow.
It's just in my head, like if I go into my head, it's like, I just can't understand how could you not
Yes.
enjoy all of that and love all of that and receive it and be grateful for it. It's like, wow, how lucky are we to have a body and to live in this amazing, gorgeous, beautiful planet, surrounded by all of it. And I could say surrounded by all the beauty, but beauty is in the eye of everyone. So we're surrounded by all of everything in this planet, and it's such a gift. And not my point of view when I started facilitating bodies was that it was a travesty not to receive from our bodies and not to be able to see them as the gift they are. That was one of the things that pushed me to be a 3D body facilitator, because I was like, wow, how could people don't really acknowledge and see, literally see, the gift that having a body is? And how could we not enjoy it? It's like, it's crazy.
And it's interesting because I was posed the question recently is like, you know, do you receive your body? I was like, what? And I mean, it sounds like a very simple question, but with that question, I got to see how I've acknowledged how I receive through my body, by my body, everything, right? But when the question was, do you receive your body? I was like, what do you
What?
mean? Yeah, and so that distinction, can you add more to that? Because that's it seems so simple and yet it's huge about that receiving of the body that you mentioned.
Well, it's like we go through our cognitive part, and it's like, okay, yeah, the body's great because I can feel the sun, or I can feel the water, or I can taste the food. But it goes way beyond that. It it goes like beyond this reality. Like there's nothing
Wow.
that even can describe what receiving your body is, because it's this conscious being that is with you since you're born. It's not a suit that you're just putting on, and it's like, it's my clothes, you know. It's way more than that. And I have no idea of the deep this is, and the extent it has, and the magic bodies are. But I'm willing to explore it, and I'm like, every day I receive more and more and more about how amazing bodies are, and the gift they truly be, and starting with just acknowledging them, it's a good start.
I love that. Thank you, Claudia, because it's also not about defining it, but you're willing to explore that because the depth, the vast part of it, who knows, right? And so the joy of exploring that. But as you were speaking, I was like, we could be also talking about the earth, right?
Exactly, because
We're like,
yeah,
yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, I think the earth is something. What I see, the hills, the
yeah,
mountain, the water. And now you're talking about it this way, and I'm all, oh,
it
wow,
goes beyond that.
wow, wow,
And if we go
wow,
from like our bodies are part of the earth, as like, so everything applies to the earth when it applies to your body,
wow,
everything. So how much are we really willing to enjoy earth just because it's earth, not
wow,
because of what we have defined it is or what is not. It's just like, just because it is.
wow, wow. And again, there's that space of no real words of it, and yet the invitation to obey. So for all of those you listening, if this doesn't seem to make sense, it doesn't have to. Like just that exploration, like Claudia is taught, speaking about, it's like, all right, how else could I receive earth today or my body?
Yeah, and enjoy it.
Hmm.
Because sometimes we go like, okay, let me see how can I receive it, and you go again to your head. It's like, okay, no, get out of your head. How much can you enjoy everything? Everything. It's just like being alive. It's such a gift.
Yeah.
It's wow. So how can I enjoy the gift I have today? That it's being alive and living and having a body and breathing and being in this planet and everything. And that's why I don't speak much, because I don't make a lot of sense.
And yet, when someone doesn't make sense and it's still making you smile and laugh, there's something true there. So, and that's something that I experience a lot with you, Claudia. There's many gifts of, sharing more and more days with you. We've gotten to be at El Lugar, that property in Costa Rica, this resort that is being created. And there's a magical story of you discovering, being the first one to see that plot of land. This is what you're speaking about, but just having the awareness that there was something about that land that you knew right away. Can you talk a little bit about what you were aware of, if there's any words to it, of when you first set eyes or got to that property, and where it is now, and what you receive and continue to be aware of with it?
Well, well, the first time I set eyes on it, it was just like, oh, it's beautiful. That was it. It's beautiful. And then I stepped in it, or with it, better said, and it felt like it held me, like, and it it wasn't that kind of hugging when you feel like you're one with it, like there's no separation. It's like, ah, I'm home, but I'm home like I'm me with everything. I know
Wow.
it doesn't make sense, but
And perhaps there's some listeners where you have thought you were weird and have perceived that either with an animal, a plant, a space, land, someone, but this is where like begin to acknowledge what you have perceived that maybe few people could talk about or acknowledge. But this is where like, hey, what if we started to empower each other going, hey, what are you aware of? Even if it seems weird. So thank you for that, Claudia. So you're there and all of a sudden it's this hugging that you're like, wow.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I'm totally home. I don't want to ever leave here. Like, I'm going to stay here forever. And little by little, I've been receiving more from El Hogar and acknowledging more about it. And well, the thing that I love now is like that it's becoming what it really desires and more. And it's always like in communication of what it desires, what it doesn't desire, what's going to create more, what no. But it's not like, I hate you, you're doing this. It's like, maybe you could do it a different way, you know? It's like there's not this energy of judgment. And I know I'm speaking about it as if it was a person, but it's like a conscious part of Earth. It's consciousness. And it's alive. And no one allow us to believe because they think we're crazy, or they start like putting these things in our head that we're crazy if we talk to things that don't have a mouth and talk back to us.
Yes.
But we can really have communication and maybe not talking, because I don't talk that much either. But having this communication with everything. And what if being able to communicate with everything is not craziness?
Exactly. And that's, you know, this beautiful invitation that this property, El Lugar, and everything that's being created on it, you know, the construction, the possibilities of just being in the question and, like you said, listening to the earth, listening to the project, listening to what's actually going to create the most. I just am amazed at the possibility of inviting people around the world to that different way of creating, different way of building and being with the land. Just like you said, beginning to ask and receive from things that don't have a mouth. It's like, you know, we do it easily with animals. There seems to be some ease with animals because they kind of move and you think they have an expression to their face that you can kind of, you know, but you could do that with a plant, you know, and in this case, to the whole entire planet. Yeah. And again, there's that silence in that space right there where it's like, okay, so what if you could leave people with anything else about this awareness of being gifted by the body, by the earth, by receiving, or, you know, El Lugar as well, what would you like to add?
Oh my goodness. Well, from El Lugar, I'd love to add little things more. Than every day it looks and it feels, quote unquote, more beautiful and more delicious. And it's been interesting because the architects and the ambientalist people there, they're always like, wow, I've never seen a place that it's built on, that someone is built on it. And it looks so pristine and beautiful still and not a mess. And that is part of the magic from El Lugar. It comes more alive. The more we're there, the more we like construct things. It's impressive because it is more alive and it's happier. And we all have this point of view of like, okay, if you develop land, then you're like killing everything and you are selfish and blah, 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 like all these things. And I even me, I had this point of view like a while ago, like, yeah, when you go and construct anything in it, it's like you're destroying part of Earth, you know? And now with this project, El Lugar is showing me that that is not true. It's not true. Yes, you're changing things, you're moving things around, but not necessarily you're destroying things, or you're creating less, or you're going against the planet. I guess with some kind of constructions, maybe you're doing that. I'm not going to say yes or no, but what we're doing with El Lugar, it's creating more possibilities, and it's happier, and it's more alive.
Yes, beautifully said. And for those of the people that would like to explore more El Lugar, what it is, see some pictures, videos, one place you can start is the website. It's www.el-lugar.com. So that's l-lugar.com. And there's many other platforms, Instagram, YouTube video channel as well. Wow, Claudia, beautiful. Thank you.
And the other thing that El Lugar has shown me is that El Lugar is magic, yes, and it's very loud, as in inviting us to consciousness and to possibilities. It's like when you're there, you just can't not perceive that it's alive, that is inviting you to a different thing. It's like you can't refuse it. It's a different, even if you don't cognitively get it, it's such an intense energy of wow. But what it has shown me is that Earth is that. It's not just El Lugar. El Lugar is louder. It's louder, and it's like this land has been very pristine, hasn't been really abused and like torture, if I can say that. And it's louder, but that's Earth. Earth is this magic and this invitation for more and peace, and it has so many things. So I don't know what else to say.
Inviting you all to explore, the earth all around you, and like you said, really everything around you, including your body, the earth. And if you'd like to, like I said, be invited to the magic of El Lugar, there's so many ways to play. You can even email at us at info@ellugar.com. So, wow, Claudia, thank you so much for this beautiful space. I know that I'm just at the middle of my day, but there is a new level of relaxation and receiving I can perceive in my body, in my being. And I know that contributes to a greater planet. So thank you for being you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for doing this. I just love it. I love this podcast.
I do too. I feel a little, like really honored and joyful that I get to, because I know you, I speak to you, but it's just a different platform. It's a different conversation. It's a different receiving. And that's also the gift of El Lugar coming through the podcast, inviting more consciousness, more play, and with all these topics. So you're welcome and thank you. So, and thank you all. If you like this show, there's many others we've had. You can listen to a lot of the archive shows and more to come. So.
Oh, they are wonderful. You learn so many things. You receive so much from them. I just love them.
Yes. All right. We'll talk to you soon, Claudia. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this show. My target is to inspire new actions and conversations that empower us all to know that we are the ones creating the future. If you'd like a way to contribute to our podcast, please leave a review wherever you listen. And for information about El Lugar, visit el-lugar.com. Thank you.